rows from two or more table based on a common column. So if you guys want to retrieve the data from multiple table at the same time, right? So at that time you can go and use the join, and whenever you are writing a syntax to join the tables, at that time you have to make sure that one column needs to be same between both the tables, and on the basis of that column only you will be able to join those two tables. Okay, and then if when so we were discussing about the types of joins which we have in SQL Server, correct? So the first type of join is your inner join. So inner join will join two or more table, and it will retrieve only the matching records from both the tables. Okay. So if I have want to see only the matching records between both the tables, right? Let's suppose there are five customers which are also available in table A, and there are those five customers are also available in table B. It means those five customers are same which is available in table A and table B. So at that time the inner join concept will work, and it will retrieve those five customers data in my result set. Okay guys, is inner what inner join is that concept is clear for everyone? If it is not, please let me know over the chat box. Okay, that's great. Then after that, the second type of join which we have is outer join. Okay, now in outer join we have again three types of join. First, left outer join. So what left outer join will do? So outer join has again three different types. First is your left outer join, right? Left outer join. So left outer join will always retrieve the data, will always retrieve all the data from left table and only the matching records from the right table. Okay, so let's suppose if I have table A and table B, right? And if I want to see all the data from table A but only the matching records from the table B, then at that time I have to use the left outer join. Okay guys, so left outer join fundamentally I can say will only retrieve you all the data. It doesn't matter if you have 1000 records or 2000 records, right? So for an example, if I have 100 records in the right table but only 10 records matching in the second table, so can you tell me how many records it is going to retrieve me in the result set? Everyone, please reply it in the chat box. Let's say in table A, I have 100 records, and in table B, I have 10 records, but those are same, which are also available in table A, right? And if I'm applying the left outer join in between both the tables, then how many records it is going to show me or in the result set? Okay, I think some of you asked, just give me a sec, let me check. Okay, why 10 guys? 10 is not a correct answer. I said 100 records in the left table and 10 records in the right table, right? So definitely 100 records, right? Right? Because that is the thing about left outer join, right? Like it will retrieve you all the data from the left table, and left table here is table A and the right table is table B. So it will retrieve me all the records from the right left table and only the matching records from the right table, right? So that is what left outer join is. Then we have right outer join. So it is right outer join is the vice versa, I can say, of your left outer join. So it will always retrieve all the data from the right table and only the matching records from the left table. Okay. So whenever I will go and work with the route outer join, or if my organization says that, okay, Pratik, I have two table. One is customer table and the another one is order table. So I want to see all the data from the orders table, but only the matching data from my customer table. So at that time, I will use right outer join, correct? Because the order table, let's suppose in my right hand side and customer table is on my left hand side. So at that time, I will use the right outer join, and while I'm using the right outer join, it will retrieve me all the data from the right table and only the matching records from the left table. Then third is full outer join. So full outer join will always retrieve you all the data from both tables. Okay. So if you want to see all the data from both tables, then at that time you guys have to work with full outer join. Okay. Is like what outer join is and what inner join is this concept is clear for all of you? Please let me know over the chat box, because join plays a very major role. Everyone, like I can see 16 participants, so I want all the answers in the chat box. Okay, let me just check your comments. Okay, great. Okay. Now, firstly, like before going with our further types of join, right? Because there are four types of join which we can use in SQL Server. Let me first show you the demonstration of inner join and outer join. Then it will be much more clear for you guys. Give me 2 minutes. Let me just connect with the labs. Okay. So guys, if you remember, I told you that whenever you are using joins, right? So let's suppose if there is a table A and table B. If you want to join these both tables, then there is a mandatory thing that you always have to keep in your mind, that one column needs to be available in both of the tables, right? One same column. So if customer ID column is there, which is available in the customer table as well as in the orders table, then you will apply the join on the basis of customer ID, right? Because there needs a similarity, right? Because if there is no similarity in between both of the tables, then how you will be able to apply the join, right? So please this keep this always in your mind, that whenever you are joining the tables, firstly you need to check that both that the tables contain same column or not. If they do not contain the same column, then you will not be able to apply the joins. Now let me connect with my Azure Data Studio first. Okay. Sorry. Okay. So now let's do one thing. Let's just create two tables, right? Let's say create table customers, customer ID, integer data type, customer name, character 10, and then one more column. Let's insert, let's say uh, uh, um, gender, right? Let's say character 5. Okay. And let's execute this command. Okay, now one table is created, right? And then insert some data because we will use these two tables for running our join things. Insert into customer values, bracket open, customer ID, let's suppose 1, comma, customer name, let's say Prateek, comma, and the gender, let's say male, right? Separated it with the comma, bracket open again, customer ID 2, comma, name, let's suppose Ram, comma, gender, let's say male, right? Separate it again with a comma, third record, let's insert, customer ID 3, customer name, let's suppose Aisha, separate it with a comma, gender will be female. Let's say fourth record, right? And let's say customer ID fourth, right? And customer name, let's suppose China, something like anything, comma, female, right? Now let's insert this record. Okay, so the data has been inserted. Now let's create one more record, one more table, right? Let's create orders table. Create table name will be orders, right? Open the bracket here. Let's say order ID, or let's first start with the customer ID, right? Because one column needs to be same between both the tables, then only you will be able to apply the join. Customer ID, integer, let's suppose order ID, right? Again, let's say integer, and then let's suppose product, what product they have purchased, right? Product name, let's say character 10. Okay, let's insert only these three columns. Create table, table has been created. Now again insert the data on this table as well. Insert into the table name will be orders table, values, open the bracket, customer ID 1, order ID, let's suppose 001 for an example, comma, product name, let's suppose he purchased a mobile, right? Then here, separate it with a comma. Again, let's say customer ID 1 again, right? Let's suppose customer ID 1 again purchased the same record. Because customer ID 1 can purchase multiple products, right? Let's suppose customer ID 1, order ID 002, because order ID will get changed, right? And then let's say product he purchased is refrigerator. Okay. And then let's suppose, okay, customer ID 2, let's suppose customer ID 2 doesn't purchase anything. Let's say he doesn't purchase anything, right? Then we have customer ID 3. Okay, customer ID is 003, order ID, and they purchased a TV. Okay, and then let's suppose customer ID 4, the order ID will be 004, and then they purchase, let's suppose, laptop. Okay, now let's insert these records. Okay, I should call product name. Okay, so this is a question for you guys. Can you tell me what is the error and why it is giving me an error? Just see this two syntax. Can any of you tell me that why this error occurred? Any of you? Let's just take 2 minutes. Just read these two syntax and let me know what was the wrong thing I have written in the syntax.
After that comma, refrigerator.
Anyone? Okay, I can't see. Okay, now there are few messages. Okay. Only two or three of you will be are able to find the mistakes. Okay, let me just check like what you have written. Correct, guys, right? That I have given this column called product name, a particular fixed length, right? Which is 10. And this column, this refrigerator is of 11 or 12 words, right? So to avoid this, what we can do? Let's remove this. Okay. And now execute this command. Okay. So now the data is inserted. Okay. So now let me show you that how the inner join concept works. Okay. So if you guys want to see, right, that all the, let's suppose if the requirement is you want to see only those customers who purchased something. Okay. If this is my requirement that I only want to see those customers that or like who purchased something, right? Then I will write down this syntax. Select, right? Let's suppose I want to see their customer ID. Like what is the customer ID who purchased the order? After customer ID, I want to see the customer name as well, right? And then I want to see their order ID and the product name, what product they have purchased. So guys, can you see these all columns, like these four columns are available in two different tables, correct? So at that time, I have to apply the join. And what type of join I will apply when I only want to see the matching records from both of the tables? I have to apply the inner join, correct? So after that, I will write it down the syntax from what is my first table name? Customer. So I will write it down customer, right? And I will give this table as an alias called C. Okay. So C is an alias or a nickname which I'm using for this customer table, right? Then join. What is my another table? Orders. Again, I'm giving this table an alias as O. Okay. And then you will write down on, right? Because you have to specify the same column name which is available in both the tables, right? You have to specify to the SQL server that on the basis of which column, right, you are applying the join. So customer ID column is similar between both the tables. So I will join these two tables on the basis of customer ID. So I will write down on C dot customer ID. So what does this C means? This is the customer table, right? Because I have given it an alias called C. So instead of writing the full name of that table, I can use the alias whatever I have given, right? So this C dot customer is customer dot customer ID, right? Is equals to O is again my orders table because I have given it alias dot customer ID, right? Now, let's suppose if I will run this syntax, it will give me an error, right? Why it is giving me an error? Can any of you tell me? Any of you? Just think, like why it is giving me an error. Okay, I can only see one answer in the chat section. What about others? Okay, let me see the answer first. Okay, so that's not the issue, right? Because whenever you are writing join, it means inner join only. For the other type of join, whenever you will write, at that time you have to specify the name of the join. But whenever you are writing this command, join only, right? It means inner join only by default. Okay. Okay. Anyone else? That why this issue occurred? Just think, the answer is in the syntax only, guys. Any of you? Okay, let me check. There is one more answer. Okay. Yeah, that's correct. Right? Because why it is giving me an error? It is saying gears column name customer ID. Right? Because this customer ID column is available in both of the tables. Right? So SQL Server is confused that from which table I want to retrieve this customer ID. Right? So that is why this issue is occurred. Right? Because this column is available in both of the tables. So now to remove this, I have to tell SQL Server, right, that from which table you want to retrieve the customer ID. So I can use the alias name, right? C.customer ID, it means retrieve the customer ID from the customer table, and it is always benefited to specify the column name, table name. Let's say customer from customer ID, retrieve order ID from the orders table, and product name also retrieve it from the orders table, right? And now if you will run this command, it is showing you the data, correct? Customer id. Okay, there are two types. Okay, let's just remove this customer id because there are two customer ids. Okay, now execute it. Okay, so can you see? It is showing you the data. It is saying that, okay, customer ID 1 has purchased two products, customer ID 3 has purchased one product, customer ID 4 has purchased one product. But there is no record of customer ID 2. Why there is no record of customer ID 2? Even though I have stored his detail, because that's how the inner join works. Because customer ID 2 related any data it didn't find in the orders table, right? So it means the matching is not there for the customer ID2 in the orders table. It means that that's the thing of inner join. It means the customer ID2 didn't place any order and we are applying the inner join, and customer ID2 is not able to find any matching records in the orders table. So that's why the data is not there. Okay, guys, that's how the inner join concept works. So inner join will always retrieve you only the matching records from both of the tables. Is that clear, everyone? Like how inner join works? Just a quick yes or no, everyone. I also need to be assured that you guys are with me. Let me just check. Okay, correct. Okay. Okay. Then after that, let's discuss the concept about outer join, right? Give me a sec, please. Okay. Outer join. I'll use these two tables only for performing all the join operation. Let's say I want to see all the data from the left table, right? Let's suppose I want to see all the data from my customer table and only the matching data from my orders table. So at that time, I will write it down, select star from. What is my first table name? Customer as C, right? Left outer join. Left outer join. What is my another table name? Let's say orders, right? As O, right? On. What is the same table, same column available in both the table? C dot customer ID is equals to O dot customer ID, right? Now, if I will run this command, can you see? It is showing me all the data from the left table, right? For customer ID 1, 2, 3, 4, right? But only the matching records from the second table. So can you see? For the second customer, it didn't find out any record in the second table. So it is showing you the null values. So that's how the left outer join works. So it is showing you all the data from the left table, or let's remove this star. Then it will be much more easier for you guys to understand. Customer ID, let's say customer name, mm, and let's say order ID and product name. Okay, where it goes? Product name. Okay. Now let's just give it an alias also. Okay. Now execute this command. So can you see? It is showing you customer ID, customer name, order ID, product name, right? But for the second customer, it didn't found any order ID or product name, so it is showing you the null values. So it means that left outer join will always show you all the data from the left table, because second record was for the customer ID to RAM. That record was stored in the customer table, but not in the product table, right? In the orders table. So it is showing you in the left table because you are applied the left outer join. So for the left outer join, it is showing you all the data from the left table and only the matching records from the right table. And if any record is not matched or not found, then it will return you the null values, right? So can you see the second customer ID? It is also showing because that is available on the customer table. But if I will change it with right, okay, and now if I will run this command, so can you see the customer ID 2 data has been removed? Why? Because that was not available in the orders table. And right outer join says that retrieve all the data from the right table and only the matching records from the left table. So that's how your uh, right outer join works. Okay. And similarly, if you want to see all the data from both of the tables, then just run the full outer join. Now let's run this. So can you see it is showing you all the data from both of the tables, right? So that's how the thing works, or that's how this concept work for the outer joins. So guys, what is outer join, how to run it, the how to execute left outer join, right outer join and full outer join, and how to execute the commands for getting the data by using inner join. As these both things are clear for you, please let me know over the chat box. Then only I will proceed further, because these plays a very major role. Please let me know if left outer join and right outer join and full outer join, everything like whatever we discussed is clear, everyone. So we don't have to decide the sides of the table, depends upon your requirement either. Like you can write it anywhere, right? But before using the any type of left or right outer join, you have to check that from which what type of syntax you are using, right? So if you want to use, let's suppose, because you are writing the syntax, correct, Shivali? You are writing the syntax, so you know that okay, from which table you want to see all the data, right? And from which table you want to see only the matching record. So according to that, you can move the places of the table, either on the left side or either on the right side. That depends upon you, like who is writing the syntax. Is that clear? Because before writing the syntax or before retrieving the data, you have to be sure, right, from which table you need to retrieve the data. So that's depend upon us. Either I can move the table from one place, like from left to right or right to left, but accordingly I have to move the syntax as well, right? So that's how it works. Okay, guys. So now let's go to our slides. Okay. So here using joins. So as we discussed, right? So what the join will do? So join will basically combine the rows from multiple tables by specifying the matching criteria. It usually based on the primary key and foreign key relationship as well. And for example, if you want to return rows that combine data from employee and sales order table by matching the employee ID primary key to the sales order ID, employee ID foreign key. So it means, so you don't have to be get confused in the lines which is written here in the slides, right? Just think that what we discussed, that if you are joining two tables, correct? So on the basis of which condition you will join those two tables, there should be a same column needs to be available between both the tables, right? And if the same column is available between both of the tables, on the basis of that only you can join the tables, correct? So that what it is saying. And it can help to think of the table as sets is the in a Venn diagram. So this is the like, so whenever you will apply the inner join, let's suppose this is this circle first is your table A and this circle B is your table B, right? And if you are applying, if you want to retrieve this matching records, right, from these tables, then what type of join you have to apply? Inner join, right? So whatever data is available here, right, which is similar in both of the tables, that data will be retrieved in the result set when you will apply the inner join. Then here, this is the join syntax basically. So we always use this ANSI SQL 92 syntax. So this was deprecated by Microsoft in 2021, right? So now we are not using this type of syntax. We are using only this syntax that is preferred syntax also, right? So we are using this syntax only whenever we need to retrieve the data from the table. So, and what is the syntax? Select column name, right? From table one, join table two, and then the condition, like on the same column condition on table one dot same column name is equals to table two dot column name, right? So that is the preferred syntax which you guys have to use whenever you are going to join two tables or whenever you are writing the syntax to retrieve the data from multiple tables. Then this is inner join, right? So as you know that inner join will return only the rows where a match is found in both of the tables, right? And the match rows based on the criteria supplied in the join predicate. And if join predicate operator is equals to, it will also known as equi-join. So equi-join and inner join is almost same. So there is no difference between it. And this is the syntax, right? Select column one, column two from HR.employee table as EMP, that an alias we are giving. Join. You can write down join also, or you can write down inner join also, right? That will work similarly. The another table name as alias name and employee ID same on both of the tables. So I am joining these two table on the employee ID column, right? So that is the syntax of our inner join that we have just seen. Then we have outer join. So again, outer join will return you all the rows from one table and any matching records from the second table. That depends that you are using left outer join, right outer join, or full outer join. And all rows from both of the table will always in a preserved table output to the result set. And matches from the inner table retrieved basically, right? And null will added in the place where attributes do not match whenever you are working with the outer join. And similarly, we have seen that what will be the syntax, right, of outer join as well, which will be select column one, column two from table name as alias name. Then either you can write it down left outer join, right outer join, or full outer join, and then uh, you will write it down the second table name, and then you will supply the same column name which is available between both of the tables, right? So that's how the outer join works. Now, the cross join. So what is a cross join, guys? So cross join combine all the rows from both of the tables, right? So let's suppose if I want to make, so guys, I hope like, I think this we have also like about the cross join or making all the possible combination. This we have also seen in our mathematics as well, right? In our schooling days, that what is cross join, how does cross join works basically, right? So, uh, let's suppose if you have two tables. In the first table, you have five records, and in the second table, also you have five records, right? And if you want to see all the possible combination of those two tables, then how many records will be retrieved to you in your result set? Can any of you tell me? In school, we also learned it about, right? Like kind of Cartesian product and all. Okay, let me check the answer. How 10? Making all possible combination, right? So it will pick up the first record of first table and it will try to make the possible combination of all the records of the second table, right? So it will basically multiply. So 5 into 5, 25. So 25 possible combination can be made between those two tables, right? Correct, guys? Are you with me? Like 5 records in table A and 5 records in table B, right? So it will pick up the first record of first table and it will make all the possible combination with the second record. Means it will pick up the first record from table A and it will match a tie up with all the five records. So five records, then pick up the second record, then third record and fourth record and fifth record. So 5 into 5 to 25. That is how it will make a possible combination, right? Understood? Or if you want, I can repeat it again. Okay. Is there anyone who didn't understand the concept of cross join? Any of you? Please let me know. I'll explain it again. Okay. So there are few of you who didn't understood the thing. Let me just give me a sec. I think this one. Yeah. Okay. Let me sorry. Yeah. Okay. So I think you can see my document here, right? Which I'm sharing. Okay. Sorry. Let's suppose, guys, I have, let's go in the drawing panel. Okay. Okay, not here. Let me just remove it. Mm, Insert table, let's say 5. Let's suppose this is my table name, customer, or let's not say customer, product ID. Okay. And insert table 5. Okay, so product name. Okay. Product name and let's say the average name. And let's insert, not here, insert table. Why it is combining these two tables? One sec. Okay, let's just insert this. Let's suppose first product is my pizza. Second, let's say burger. Third, let's say tacos. Fourth, let's say nachos. Fifth, let's say mm, anything, let's say bread. Okay. Now, let's say I have another table with a name called beverage. Why the cursor is not going there? Okay, it has created here. Okay. Okay, it is. Okay, let's just write down here only. Let's suppose this was my product name and this is my, let's move. Let's suppose this is my beverage name, okay? Like column name, let's take it, beverage name. Let's suppose Coca-Cola, Fanta, Sprite, let's say Dew, and another one, let's say Pepsi. Let's suppose, guys, if I'm working in a restaurant, right? So at that time, I have these products which I'm selling, let's say pizza, burger, tacos, nachos, bread. And similarly, I'm selling the some soft drinks as well, like Coca-Cola, Fanta, Sprite, Dew, Pepsi, right? And my requirement is I have to make all the possible combination with this product name, with these two, between these two columns, right? So at that time, if I will apply, so it is not giving 25. Okay. So whenever I will go for making a possible combination, so let's talk it the first. The first record of my this table was pizza, correct? So I can make the combination pizza with Fanta, right? Or let's say Coca-Cola. I can make another combination of pizza with Fanta. I can make again the same combination. I can make this combination with 5 times, right? Again here, Sprite, here, Dew, and then Pepsi. Right? Now I have maken this first, I have picked up this first record and try to make all the possible combination with all the record of the second table, right? Then I will choose up the second product name, which is my burger here. So I will write it down here and then again all the possible combination of second records, right? Then let's say Fanta, then Sprite, and then Dew, and then Pepsi, right? And then I will pick up the third record, tacos, which I will write down here. And then again, all the possible combination of the second table. right? So that's how it works. So now is it clear, guys, what I was trying to say? Like it will pick up the first record of first table and it will try to make all the possible combination with all the records which are available in the second table, right? So that is why I was saying that if there are five records in table A and five records in table B, then all the possible rock combination of these two tables will be 25. 5 into 5, 25. Is that clear, guys? Now is it clear what is a cross join is? Everyone, please let me know over the chat. Is it clear or not? Okay. Okay, that's great. Then let's get back to our slides. Okay, so I think cross join is clear for all of you, right? So it will make all the possible combination output. So as you can see here, so in employee, in this table, employee, I have two records, and in the product, I have two records. So 2 into 2, 4. So it will pick up the first name or first record of this column, Dan. It will try to make all the possible combination of all these records. So two record, one with Dan Wizard, another one is Dan Gizmo. And then it will pick up the second record, which is Aisha, and then it will make the possible combination with this, and then again with this, right? So so it is basically rarely used, I can say, right? Like cross join is never used in the production environment. The reason is because why you will go and try to make the possible combination between the tables, right? That is not the requirement basically. But this is a type of join that whenever you guys want, you can easily go and use it. Okay. So sorry. So according to the requirement of the user, if the organization asks or if any of the user asks that, okay, I want to see all the possible combination of the data between my two tables. So at that time, you guys can go and join the work with the cross join. Okay, guys, is that is clear? Everyone. And then after that, we have self join. So what is a self join, guys? So self join in SQL Server is a join where a table is joined with itself. Okay, it might be sound difficult to understand, but if I have a table A and if I want to self join the table, that it means the table A will join with itself, right? So it is useful whenever you want to compare the rows within the same table or whenever you are dealing with the hierarchical data. Okay. Is it clear what a self join is? Like joining a table with itself, basically. I think it is not clear for any of you. Is it clear like what a self join is? Everyone, quick yes or no. Or else I will treat that you guys understood, so I will not go and explain that topic. Yes, self join can take the null values. Again, not from the previous records. Okay. Let's do one thing. Let's do one practical of self join. Yes or no? Cool. Let's do one practical. Okay, let me connect to the labs. Okay, guys, let's do a hands-on the self join. Okay, let me just think about a scenario. Give me a second.
Why did I start? Could have.
Let's do one thing. Where was that PPT? This one, right? Okay. This. Okay. Let's create this table only. Employee table, employee ID, first name, and manager ID. Okay. Let's go to the lab environment. Let's create one table here quickly. Create table. Let's say the name of the table I'm giving it employees, right? And the column which I'm creating here, let's say employee ID, comma, or
Yeah. ഏകദേശം എന്താ രണ്ടെണ്ണം കൂടെ നോക്കട്ടെ.
let's say integer, comma, employee name, let's say character 10, fixed length, and let's say manager underscore ID, and let's say integer. Close this bracket and execute this command. Okay, so the table is created with 3 columns: employee ID, employee name, and manager ID. Now let's insert some values. Insert into employees values, bracket open, employee ID, let's suppose I'm supplying it 1, comma, employee name, let's suppose Alice, comma, manager ID, let's suppose I'm supplying it null value. Separate it with a comma, bracket open for the second record. Let's suppose second employee ID is 2, name is Bob, and manager ID is 1. Okay. Separate it with a comma, third record, manager employee ID 3, employee name, let's suppose Charlie, and manager ID is, let's suppose, again 1. Comma, let's insert fourth record, employee ID 4, name, let's say David, and manager ID, let's suppose 2. Okay. Now execute this command. Okay, now the data is inserted. Now let's execute this command. Select star from. The table name is employees. Select this command, execute it. So this is the data which it is showing to me right now in the result set, correct? Now guys, can I ask you one question here? From this table only, do we have any column with the manager name? Do we have any column related to manager name? Yes or no? I hope most of you have replied no. But can you guys tell me who is the manager of Bob and Charlie? Can you tell me from this table only, like who is the manager of Bob and Charlie?
Alice.
Okay, let me just check what answers you have written. Okay. Yeah, that's correct. So Alice is the manager of Bob and Charlie, right? But the manager name is not specified here, but their IDs are there, right? So you can retrieve their manager name with the help of manager ID and employee ID, correct? So that in this scenario, you will use the self join because you want to see one more column in the result set, let's suppose as manager name, but that manager name column data will come from that table only. From this table only, the data will be coming, right? So that what it means self join, like joining this table with itself only to retrieve a new column with the manager name. Is that clear? Now is it clear what a self join is? Like in which scenario you guys will use the self join? Is that is clear, everyone? Okay. Now let me show you that how you will be able to apply the self join. Okay. So for applying the self join, you have to write down the command. Let's say select let's say select employee name. Let's suppose in the result set I want the only the employee name and the manager name. Let's say employee employee underscore name, right? And so I want employee name and again I want employee name. I will let you know why I'm writing this.
Oh,
Again employee name, right? So this employee name I want as, I will give it an alias as employee, right? And this employee name I want to see it as manager. Okay. From which table? From employees table. My name is table name is employees, and I will give it as an alias as E1, let's say, right? And then for self join, we will use the left join keyword, right? Left join employees, and we will give it an alias as E2, okay? And on E1, that is my table one, right? On, let's say, manager ID is equals to E2 dot employee ID. Okay. So now let me explain this concept. Let me first write down here as employee, it will be E1 dot employee name, and this will be E2 dot employee name. Okay. Now let me explain you the syntax. So what we are doing here. So we want to join the table with itself. So we have to virtually think that these are two different tables, right? So that's why this employee ID, first column, I will generate this as my employee name. And the second employee name column, I will generate it as a manager name, right? From the same table employees, because we have to think that these are two different table. So we have to join the table with itself by giving the alias name, right? So if you are giving it a unique alias name as I have given here, E1 and E2, so the SQL server will think that these two tables are different table, and then only the self join concept will work here, right? And on the same so the column name needs to be same. So the manager ID and employee ID, the values are almost same. So on the basis of manager ID from table 1 and the employee ID from the table 2, on the basis of that I have applied this condition. And now if I will execute this command, can you see? It is showing me the employee ID and their manager name as well. Is it clear, guys? Or if you want, you can change it to this with employee name also. And now if you will run, it will show you the employee name versus their manager name. Can you see? So that's the concept of self join, because this manager name is coming from the same table itself. So that's why we have to virtually think, we have to tell server that create this table, open this table as E1, and thus again same the open table as E2, and then find out me a new column in the result set. And that data will come from the same table. So that's how the self join concept works. Is that clear, everyone? Like what is a self join and how we can use it? Please let me know in the chat box is that is clear or not. Clear? Okay, that's great. Then let's go to our next topic then. So we have discussed self join as well. And then we have this, we have already done, right? Now, subqueries. So guys, sometimes it will happen that you are not going to use joins, right? There is some restrictions or there are no similar columns are available in your tables, right? So at that time, you might have to use the subqueries. So subquery is a kind of a, how should I say it? Is a query within a query basically, right? So subquery is nothing. So a subquery in your SQL server is a query which is written in a same query or in another query. So subquery is totally used to perform an operation to fetch the data that will be used by the main query. Okay. So this query, like select star from, bracket open, again select star from. So whatever your inner query will search the data, that result will pass on to your outer query, and on the basis of your inner query, your outer query will run and will give you the result in the result set. So it means a query written inside a query, we call it as a subquery. Okay, so subqueries are nested queries like queries within the queries, and result of your inner query is always passed to your outer query. So inner query will act like an expression from the perspective of the outer query. So subquery is always used to perform an operation or fetch data that will be used by the main query. So you can think of a subquery as a helper that will provide the intermediate result for the main query to use from the inner query. Okay? Is that is clear, guys? Like what is a subquery? Like if you're writing query inside a query, it means it is a subquery. Let me show you an example, then it will be much more clear. Because theoretically, it is a bit confusing. Okay. So I have here. I have created two tables, right? Customer ID and customer orders table. Okay, I'll use that. So let's suppose I write down this command, select customer underscore name. Okay. From which table I want to find it out? Let's suppose from customers table. Okay. From customer table, I want to find out customer name. Or I think the column name I'm not specifying correct. It's this one. This is the column name, right? So select customer name from customer table where customer ID in. Okay. Where customer ID in bracket open again select. Okay. Customer ID from orders. Okay. Now, what this is going to retrieve me? So I have two tables, customer table and order table. So if I want to find the customers who have placed an order, right? So the data will come through the order data will come from the order table and then it will jump to the customer table, right? So to find out all those customers who have placed an order at that point of time, we can use the subquery. So right now what it will do, so the inner query will run first, right? So this query will run first and it will find out all those customer ID who has placed the orders, because that data is stored in my orders table. And once it has retrieved all those customers who have purchased the orders, right, then that data will be passed to the outer query and the outer query will retrieve the customer name with the help of those customer ID. Okay. And now if I will run this command, can you see? It is showing me the data that three customers has placed the order, because Ram doesn't place any order, right? So these three customers placed the order. So that is the concept of subquery. Is it clear, guys? Please let me know in the chat box. Is it clear, or should I use any another example? Please let me know over the chat box. Okay, clear? What about others? Okay, I'll give one more example. No, don't worry. What about others? Is it clear or not? Okay. Okay, so this was the easiest example which I can think of right now. Let's say, okay, Let me just think of another example. Just give me a few minutes. Okay, because subquery can't be used in too much of scenarios. So let's say customer name. What are all the columns I have? Customer ID, customer name, gender. Mm-mm-mm. Customer name from customer, where customer ID ends, select customer ID. Okay, let's suppose I want to see gender of all those customers who has purchased the order. Okay, so for that purpose also we can use this. So what it will do, it will firstly jump in our this inner query. So it will retrieve all those customer ID who has purchased the orders. Then that all customer ID will pass on to your outer query to the customer table. And there it will search for all those customer ID, it will search the gender, and all those gender will be retrieved in the result set. So let's run this. Can you see? Now it is showing me all the genders, right? So this is the basic example which we can create like on the spot, basically. So this subquery is very much beneficial for the users whenever they are planning to not use joins, right? Even though like the same thing, you can also do it with the join as well, right? But sometimes it will happen that the organization don't prefer to work with joins. Some organizations are more comfortable using the subqueries. So it upon you guys that you are more comfortable working, because all the things which you can do with the joins, the same thing you can do with the subqueries as well, right? So the thing is, you have to be confident that you are confident in skills in joins or in subquery. According to that, you can easily go and fetch the data from the tables. Okay. Now let's get back to our slides here. So this was the introduction of the subqueries. That queries are subqueries are nested queries, like queries written within the queries. And result of inner query will always pass to the outer query. Inner query act like an expression from the perspective of the outer query. Then we have two types of subquery which we can write it down. One is scalar subquery and the another one is multi-valued subquery. Okay. So as you can see here, so if this is my inner query, right guys? So the query which is written in the, sorry. So the query which is written it in the bracket, that we call it as an inner query, and the query which is written outside the bracket, we call it as a outer query, correct? So here, what we are doing, we are selecting sales order ID column, product ID column, order quantity column from sales order detail table where sales order ID is equals to select maximum of my sales order ID from this table, right? So right now, what we are trying to retrieve with this particular query, we want to see that what is the maximum sales order ID we have, right? Once it has retrieved the maximum sales order ID, then that data will be passed to your outer query, and only for that maximum sales order ID, its product ID order quantity will be retrieved to you in the result set. So if your inner query is just passing a single value, right, to the outer query, then we call it as a scalar subquery. Is it clear, guys, that what is a scalar subquery? So your inner query will only pass a single value to the outer query, right? And your outer query will use that single value to give you the data in the result set. Then we call it as a scalar subquery. But if our inner query, as you can see here, it is retrieving multiple customer ID, right? So it will retrieve the multiple customer ID, and those multiple customer ID will be retrieved, will be passed on to the outer query. So it means that so it will be considered as your multi-valued subquery. Is that is clear with everyone that what is a scalar or what is a multi-valued subquery? Everyone? Let me just see. Please let me know over the chat box. If you have any queries, please reach out in the chat box. Okay, sure. So as we discussed that there is a inner query and there is a outer query, correct? Like the query which is written in the bracket is a inner query, and the query which is written outside the bracket, we call it as a outer query. Correct. So if your inner query is passing a single value to the outer query, means if you just want to see for a single customer, all the from the data from the outer query, then that will be called as a scalar value subquery, right? Because your inner query is just passing the data to your outer query in a single value for a single customer. But if it is giving for the multiple customer, then we will consider it as a multi-valued subquery. So that is the thing. Is that is clear now? Great. Okay. Let me just share my screen again. Okay. Then after that, so this is not your things, guys. You can skip this part, self-contained or correlated, because these are now deprecated from the Microsoft itself, right? So don't go under the self-contained or correlated subqueries. Okay. So this we have already done. Like we use simple subqueries and correlated subqueries. We are not going to cover because Microsoft has disabled those features of using the self-contained or correlated subqueries. And now again a module review. So guys, please read all these questions and let me know it in the chat box. Every one of you, please read the question. We will take 5 minutes, read the question, and then revert the answer it in the chat box. Okay, you guys want to understand correlated subqueries as well? I'll explain, no worries. Let me just check the answers first. Okay. Okay, first, so most of you thinks first, second, third. Cool. Okay. Okay, let me tell you the answers. Okay, so first question, like you must return a list of all sales employees that have taken sales order, employees who have not taken sales order but not been included in the which type of course, inner join. Then second question, which those rows, which those the following query return this. Okay, it will be only. Okay, it's no, no, it is every combination. Yeah, it's every combination of product and category name. And a correlated subquery will return the. It can be a second answer, second option also, or third option also. So those who have given the second also or third, that is correct because it return multiple columns and rows also in the result set, and it can be a reference of a value basically that is in the outer query. Okay, so do you want to understand the concept of correlated subqueries? Okay, okay, so let me tell you that. So, guys, correlated subqueries are, I can say, not that much used in the environment. The reason is because every query, whenever you are going to run it in the server, right? Whenever every query takes some type of, you can say, space or memory it will take the CPUs as well for running that particular query, right? So correlated subqueries and your self-contained subqueries, the major differences between is that most subqueries, whenever you are going to write, are always self-contained and they have no connection with the outer query, right? What it means is, as we have discussed, that we have inner query and outer query, right? But whenever you are writing some type of subqueries, at that time, what it will happen is that the inner query will not pass the result to your outer query. And if it is not passing the result to the outer query, and if inner query is running parallelly and outer query is running parallelly, and the data which it is showing to you in the result set is not dependent on each other, basically, then we will call it as a self-contained subquery. But a correlated subquery is a type of a subquery, I can say, that will take the reference columns from your outer query, like whatever columns you have specified in your outer query, right? Unlike your regular subquery, right, which is executed once and used by the outer query, a correlated subquery is executed repeatedly once for each row which is processed by your outer query. Correct? So let me explain it in a more clear way. So in our the example which I showed you, at that time what happened, the inner query run executed once, and whatever result it gathers, it has passed that result to the outer query, and your outer query followed that instruction, right, in order to give you the result. But in your correlated subquery, at that time, firstly your outer query will run, and if your outer query has given the output 100 records, so for each record of your for the each row or for each record of that particular table, your inner query will execute to find out the data. So correlated subquery will run, like in the correlated subquery, your inner query will run multiple time, depends on the outer query, like how many records or rows it has retrieved in the result set. So it is totally dependent on your outer query, and your correlated subquery cannot be executed differently. Like you cannot run inner query separately and outer query separately, but that you can run in the self-contained subquery. Is that clear, guys? Or if it is not, let me know. I'll explain it again. Please let me know in the chat box if it is not clear. Let me explain you again. In self-contained, let me tell you the difference first. In the self-contained subquery, if you want, you can run your inner query parallelly and outer query parallelly, right? That you can do. Because inner query and outer query are not dependent on each other in your self-contained subquery. But when we are talking about the correlated subquery, so at that time, they cannot be executed parallelly, right? So in the correlated subquery, right, your basically uh, mm, 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 a correlated subquery is, I can say, like the inner query, whatever you have written under the correlated subquery, that is executed repeatedly, basically, right, like once for each record which is retrieved or processed by your outer query. Okay, so if your outer query has retrieved or processed 100 records, then at that time your inner query will run 100 times once for the each record. So that is the difference. Is that is clear, everyone? The difference between a self-contained and a correlated subquery. Okay. So, guys, that was the things which I want to discuss today, right? Sure, I'll create the data set and I'll show you in the next session. Because I'm using the free edition of SQL Server and it doesn't support like the latest features, basically the advanced features of the subqueries. Okay, so guys, today we discussed two things. One is join and the another one is subquery. So if any of you are having any issues understanding any of these two topics, please ask in the chat box. Or did if you understood everything, then also please let me know in the chat box that all clear. Or if any issues, please ask the question. I hope you guys are learning something new, and I hope you are getting whatever I'm trying to say. So is everything whatever we discussed clear with all of you? All clear? Okay. What about others? I can see only few people are active. And what about others? Are you guys sleepy? Okay, guys. Then that was our today's session about joins and subqueries. And do some practice. Then only you will be able to be more. Then only you will be able to say that I'm confident on SQL Server, right? Because hands-on is most important thing. Then we can wind up our session today. Thank you for joining. Have a great day ahead. Bye bye. Take care.